Welcome back. Welcome back to Living in Mexico. I'm Ana Maria Salazar. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. I want to thank all of you who've been joining us throughout the years. It's always an honor to share with you information, news, analysis about what's going on in Mexico, both in English and in Spanish. And I really have been looking through, throughout the years, but especially in the last year, experts who can explain to us in more details different events, different decisions that are being made in the United States that has an enormous impact on Mexico. And one of these decisions happened this last week, which reflects, I don't know what it reflects, but it clearly kind of brings back the discussion on the viability of this new airport that used to be an air base, which is the Felipe Angeles Airport, known, the abbreviation is AIFA. And it created a lot of controversy at the time, particularly when first it became, from an air base, it became a civil airport. And then it basically allowed President Manuel Lopez Obrador to cancel this huge project that the prior government had contracted, which was this marvelous, beautiful, big airport that was going to be built in what was the Lake of Texcoco at the time. That was canceled. Now we have a much smaller airport. There's a lot of question marks whether it's going to be, this airport is going to satisfy the needs of a huge city and an international city like Mexico City. Will it become this hub for the rest of Latin America? Doesn't appear so, but there is the need to be able to make sure that the AIFA airport is functional, that it's viable, and above all, that it can survive or at least provide certain relief to the current Mexico City Airport, International Airport. The name is Benito Juarez. Anyway, this threat came from the U.S. government for some type of sanctions because President Andrés Manuel López Obrador, as you recall, ordered that all cargo flights should fly out of this new airport, AIFA. And now we're hearing, I think more than a year later, from the U.S. government, in which it's threatening with sanctions. And now that's what I understand of the problem. That's why I really appreciate Rodrigo Soto Morales. He's been joining us throughout the years in different shows, both in English and in Spanish. But now he's joining us here on Living in Mexico. Rodrigo, can you just put into context, what is this dispute with now the White House that is under the with President Donald Trump? Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ana Maria, for having me. Yes, well, mainly the claim from the U.S., from the Department of the Transport, is regarding this executive order that they said that they had passed in 3 years. And so far, there's no solutions or clear solutions in order to get more and better infrastructure in the Aeropuerto Benito Juárez at Mexico City for the all cargo operations, for the all cargo airlines or carriers.
So the problem was the Benito Juárez?
Exactly. They want to be there. They want to be there in order to lower their expenses and in order to have more opportunities to grow. But the background is the executive order of 2023 of Andrés Manuel López Obrador used in order to order all cargo carriers to go to Aeropuerto Felipe Ángeles. That's why many of the American carriers incurs in a lot of expenses to move and to be able to operate from the Aeropuerto Internacional Felipe Ángeles. And right now, the U.S. is claiming that this movement is against the spirit and the text of the bilateral agreement that had been signed in 2015 for both countries.
Can I stop you there? That's really interesting. Yes. So this is an issue that goes back to 2015, where there was an agreement to improve the international Benito Juárez Airport, the old airport here in Mexico.
The bilateral agreement was on to get better and to grow both sides of the commercial airlines market from both countries. So try to grow up and to be wider in airline routes, connectivity, operations during the day. And as a matter of fact, in the case of Mexico and connectivity and operations in Mexico, Aeropuerto Benito Juárez is a key airport. We used to say it in the airline industry that it's a hub-spoke airport. That's mean an airport that brings a lot of operations, and from there, try to make new routes and new connectivity for other parts of the country, trying to avoid cabotage. Exactly.
So what happened is it gets to a point where, I mean, there is a real argument by Andrés Manuel Lopez Obrador at the time that, you know, the Mexico City airport just can't take any more flights, right? It's just basically it's overflowed, it's oversubscribed, I guess is the word. And this decision to move all the cargo flights to Felipe Ángeles, the new airport, kind of makes sense, right?
That makes sense because it's not a secret for everyone and for everybody that the international airport of Mexico City is so crowded in operations. Even though this week we have a risk from a crash from between two airplanes, one in the tarmac waiting to taking off, and the other one who was inbound arriving. So it's not secret that it's a crowded operations crowded airport in Mexico City, but also I think both sides have something to claim because Mexico has the legal, a full legal right to redistribute the operations, even if there's an alternative option like Aeropuerto Internacional Felipe Ángeles, in order to try to amend the saturation, the overcrowding of the operations in one airport for safety reasons. And that's very reasonable. But also in the 2015 agreement between both countries, the US expressed that for them it's very important, in one in the annex, in the English versions of the agreement, I think is page 18, if I don't remember bad, they said that they are very focused in this reciprocity in Cuernavaca, Toluca, Querétaro, and obviously also Aeropuerto Internacional Benito Juárez for cargo operations, only for cargo operations. We are not talking about passengers. Exactly. That's another issue. So for cargo operations, it's important, obviously, because it's the capital of the country, it's the overcrowded city in the country, etc., etc. That's why I proposal, from my perspective, a working table, a working group between both countries in order to review all the agreements and all the rules and regulations enacted right now by Mexico, because I think both sides have something to play. And we have a new teams in each side of the problem. We have a new agency. We have new authorities in Mexico. We have the people of the AFAC, and we have a new government. So also in US, it's happened the same.
Of course,
because
the FAA has changed.
And the Department of Transport has been transformed a lot also because they have all the Boeing issues. So the FAA also has fired some functionaries and officers, and they have new teams, new heads, and it's important to work along together to try to understand for better size how to fix this. And as I used to say, to fix it, we have to face it. And to fix it, we need to understand it first.
What does these, I mean, who's complaining? It has to be American Airlines who are complaining. What do they want? Do they want to continue flying out of the Mexico's on the Benito Juárez, the old airport? Do they want more access? I mean, I'm trying to understand, what do they want? Because the sanctions,
one hypothesis is a market issue in the forthcoming of the World Cup, Soccer World Cup. In order to have more operations going from Mexico to US and vice versa. But obviously, in capacity, American Airlines have more possibilities in order to taking over of the market. So we need to keep also our interest safe, trying to keep the things in a level of reciprocity that is a benefit for both sides. So that's why a working group, I think it's a very urgent matter to take out for both sides and to start to talking over.
When do you think there could be an impact on this
Well, next
statements.
month, they said in their claim they're going to start a review of the schedules and even the anti-immunity trust between Aeromexico and Delta approval from the US will be in review. So next August, I mean, next week, we're going to see what happened. That's why it's an urgent matter to deal right now. Yeah, I think more than the Department of State and Secretaría de Relaciones Exteriores has to be the Department of Transport, because it's a technical issue mainly, and la Secretaría de Infraestructura, Comunicaciones y Transportes in the Mexico's part.
Rodrigo Soto, expert on he's a lawyer. He's been joining us throughout the years to talk about aeronautical laws and legislation on both sides of the border. It's always great to have you on the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
We're going to go to a commercial break. I'm Ana Maria Salazar, and you're listening and watching Living in Mexico. Don't go away. I'll be right back.
Ya, con mi inglés de 7.5.